Hello, Conservative Kitty here. In another video we talked about the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms. We showed how colonial militias used their own weapons to defeat the British occupiers. Today, let's see what happens when people lose their right to keep and bear arms. There is a group of people on the radical political left in the United States, and they want to deny law-abiding American citizens of their legal right to keep and bear arms. But disarming a free people is quite dangerous, as we will see. There are examples from history when tyrannical governments disarmed the public and then went on to commit atrocities against those very same unarmed people. Adolf Hitler was appointed German Chancellor, much like a prime minister, in 1932. By 1934, he had abolished the existing constitution, called himself Führer, and established the Nazi dictatorship. Hitler also started World War II. Adolf Hitler eventually became one of the worst mass murderers of all time. At a dinner talk on April 11, 1942, he said the following, quote, "The most foolish mistake we could possibly make would be to allow the subject races to possess arms. History shows that all conquerors who have allowed their subject races to carry arms have prepared their own downfall by so doing." Unquote. Germany first established gun control in 1928 under the Weimar regime, and again in 1938 under Hitler. Jews in particular were prevented from owning weapons. From 1939 to 1945, 13 million Jews and others who were unable to defend themselves were rounded up and exterminated. Joseph Stalin was the sole leader of the Soviet Union from 1924 to 1953. He said, quote, "If the opposition disarms, well and good. If it refuses to disarm, we shall disarm it ourselves." Unquote. In 1929, the Soviet Union established gun control. From 1929 to 1953, about 20 million dissidents, unable to defend themselves, were rounded up and exterminated. Mao Zedong, the dictator of Communist China, on November 6, 1938, said the following, quote, "All political power comes from the barrel of a gun. The Communist Party must command all the guns. That way, no guns can ever be used to command the party." Unquote. China established gun control in 1935. From 1948 to 1952, 20 million political dissidents unable to defend themselves were rounded up and exterminated. The pattern from history is quite clear. People that are disarmed are vulnerable to annihilation from a tyrannical government. The framers of the U.S. Constitution knew this. They knew that they had just won their own freedom because they could defend themselves. It is not an accident that the right to be armed is the Second Amendment, right after the First Amendment that guarantees every American's free speech, religion, and freedom of the press. Here is an applicable quote from Benjamin Franklin related to giving up our liberties. Quote, "They that can give up essential liberty to obtain a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." Americans need to fight to retain the constitutionally protected liberty to own weapons. Even within the United States, wherever leftists establish so-called gun-free zones, the public is least safe in those places. In areas with the strictest gun control laws like Chicago, New York, New Jersey, and California, it is the honest citizens who are left vulnerable and defenseless. The bad guys will always find a way to get their weapons. We all know the very best way to stop a bad guy with a gun is with a good guy with a gun. So fight back against the anti-gun leftist politicians. They are usually, but not always, part of the Democrat Party. The leftists are wrong, dead wrong. And let's face it, the anti-gun leftists make arguments that are ineffective, insulting, and dishonest, not to mention unconstitutional. Americans need to be armed and understand their Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. Then, if a dangerous situation ever does arise, at least the people will be prepared and have a fighting chance. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, or subscribe.